I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice.
A few moments later.
I also told his wife and family that I would try to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia while I was here. So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. He said he need a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia, so I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen.
That was perhaps the most diplomatic explanation I've ever heard for someone describing how he just had the door embarrassingly slammed in his face. What Maryland Senator Van Hollen just described there was the painful reality, the painful realization of what it looks like when you've been voted out of power. And it's not just Van Hollen. Democrats as a whole are learning the hard way of what it looks like when you literally have no political power. You're just a clown flailing around doing freaking press conferences, but to no avail. No one cares, especially those who do have political power. You're nothing more than a miscreant, a pathetic sideshow, desperately craving attention that no one is giving you. Meanwhile, again, as the Democrats were busy doubling down on stupid, the Trump administration was setting a very clever trap for them. You may remember that earlier this week, the Trump administration was slow-footing releasing any hard evidence about Garcia. And the legacy media jumped all over that, thinking it was an admission by omission. It was a tacit sign that the Trump administration got nothing on this guy. They had no evidence of any wrongdoing whatsoever on the part of this Saint Garcia. And then, just as the Democrat clown, that senator there, was getting the door slammed in his face in El Salvador, the Justice Department released documents proving that Garcia was indeed an MS-13 gang member. He even had a rank, Chiqueo, and the nickname Chele. And he was indeed arrested. Let that hit you. An illegal alien was arrested here in the United States in the company of known MS-13 gang members carrying drugs and cash. And on top of that, we now know that his wife filed a restraining order against him for alleged abuse. So he's basically a wife-beating MS-13 gang member with a history of arrests and restraining orders who should not even be here in this country in the first place. And that is the man the Democrats are doubling down on. That is who Democrat senators are traveling to El Salvador to demand that he be brought back to this country for due process, even though he actually already has deportation orders filed against him. So even if he were brought back to this country, which he will not be, even if he were brought back, he'd be immediately deported yet again. So it turns out that the Trump team actually lured the Democrats and the legacy media into a humiliating trap, only to hit them with a 1-2 punch that knocked all their teeth out. And now that all these revelations have come out over the last 24 hours or so, things have gotten so bad with Garcia as more and more the truth comes out, as more and more of these truth bombs are blowing up in the Democrats' face, that now they're already pivoting. They're already doing their best to pivot away from Kilmar Garcia. Watch this on CNN.
I think it is a political issue. I also think it's a national security issue. Prince George's County in 2019, their gang unit determined that Garcia was an MS-13 gang member. His wife in 2021, the wife that's now giving lengthy testimonies about how great he is, said that he's a serial abuser, and she has a ton of photos to showcase said abuse. I agree, due process is absolutely important. We want to maintain that, but I think there's absolutely enough here to send this guy somewhere else. One, he's already broken the law. We've already established that. Now you do have evidence suggesting that he was a member or is a member of MS-13. He's also a serial abuser. This is not the type of individual I don't think any one of us would want in our country. He should be deported.
Respectfully, Sir Michael, we can't make it about Kilmar. Like, that's just one person.
But that's the case we're talking about.
That is, but I guess if we look at the macro and not the micro, and just look at the process of this, because he's not the only person there. There were they indiscriminately rounded up people and deported them. We also saw in the news this week, maybe it was last week, it's been a long year this week, but the Massachusetts attorney who got the letter saying that you have 7 days to leave the country. This administration has already proven that there are flaws in this system, and they are randomly deporting people without due process. That's not specific to him. That should be specific to all of us.
Gang, have you noticed it seems everything is better in the golden age, even cocoa? I kid you not. Did you know that the compounds found in cocoa, like nitric oxide, improve heart health and regenerate brain cells? Seriously, check this out from Harvard scientist Dr. William Lee.
So, studies have been done to show that the flavonols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees in a beehive in your bloodstream, and they go out and they find wherever it needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. Well, clinical studies have been done with high flavanol cocoa to show that in like men who are in their 60s with heart disease, they could actually just have 2 cups of dark chocolate hot cocoa a day for a month. Yeah. And they doubled the amount of stem cells in their bloodstream, and their circulation improved measurably.
Black Forest Supplements have created the first ever high flavanol cocoa powder packed with everything your body actually needs, and it's only 20 calories. Mix it with your coffee or protein shake, and it tastes amazing. This stuff can boost your body's natural stem cell production. I mean, think about it. Hollywood elites drop 50 grand on stem cell injections, but you can just drink cocoa powder and get the same benefits without selling your soul. Now, I've worked out an exclusive offer with my guy at Black Forest Supplements to hook you up with 40% off store-wide for the next 48 hours. 40% off store-wide for the next 48 hours. But this stuff always sell out, so don't wait. Just click the link in the pinned comment or description to stock up before it's gone. Click on that link below right now. So did you notice the pivot? I mean, this isn't about one man. This isn't about one man. You know that, right? This isn't about Kilmar. This is not about a person. It's about a process. I mean, you literally can't make this stuff up. Democrats began the week obsessed with Kilmar. They were obsessed with this innocent, saintly Maryland man, a father, an upstanding non-citizen whose home and family are here in the United States, kind of. And in literally a matter of hours, they pivoted from this poor, innocent Maryland man to, well, it's the process. It's the deportation process. If it's all screwed up, then it's only a matter of time before it affects you. Scott Adams couldn't help himself. He tweeted out, so if we let our government deport and jail a non-citizen MS-13 gang member who beats his wife and has a court order to be deported, you're telling me it's a slippery slope until they take your mom? Did I do that right? Yes, Scott, basically you did. That's the absurdity that the Democrats are doubling down on right now as we speak. And I mean, they are really doubling down on the stuff. Even James Carville, the raging Cajun, old serpent head himself, even Carville, is sputtering this nonsense through his 80-year-old oatmeal-crusted lips. Check it out.
People say, well, should we really fight on this turf, or should we fight more on ordinary people? And this we should fight on. You can't pivot to an economic history. Wait a minute. This is why we think we are a country. And if they do this to him, it's an old saying. First they came for whatever, and then whatever, and then they came for me. You know why? You know why you remember that saying? Because there's wisdom in it. There's real wisdom in it. And history has taught us that. And first they came for him, and then we're going to say no right there. We got to keep fighting this. I think this is worthy of being on the top agenda of things that we're going to fight over, is get this guy back home.
I completely agree. And
yeah, hey James, here's a wisdom for you. Here's a proverb for you. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. You want to lecture us about the rule of law? You? After you, yes, you, James Carville, led a political party that deliberately left the southern border wide open, facilitating this mass illegal migrant invasion, the unlawful entry of tens of millions. You who weaponized the Justice Department to try to imprison your political opponent. You want to lecture us about the rule of law? You think you have the moral high ground here to lecture anyone about the rule of law? I mean, these people were beyond insufferable. Let me give you a sense of just what a complete and total waste of time loser issue this is. Okay, this is the latest from our good friend Mark Mitchell over at Rasmussen. Look at these stats. How important is it that the government stop illegal immigration? Okay, you ready? 36% say it's very important. 37% say somewhat important. So that's over 70% who say it's either very important or somewhat important. Gang, those are Democrats. Those are Democrat respondents saying that. Over 70%, yes, yes, 70% of Democrat respondents believe the government stopping illegal migration is either very important or somewhat important. And these are Democrats. These are the Democrat respondents. I'm so tired from my traveling yesterday. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get the fog will disappear at some point. But these are Democrat respondents in a survey that found that over 80% of overall voters want government to stop illegal migration. They see it as either very important or somewhat important. 80%. 55% of all voters say it is very important. And it's not just Rasmussen. The latest Harvard-Harris poll shows 74% of voters support the deporting of illegal aliens. 70% support Trump's efforts at closing the border, which just, by the way, got even more based. You'll definitely want to check out my video from Arizona, just 30 miles away, 40 miles away from the Mexican border that I did earlier this week on Trump militarizing 2,000 miles of border inside what's called the Roosevelt Reservation. It's an amazing move that's now putting the U.S. military right at the center of border security. You'll definitely want to check that out. But I'm serious, gang. When all is said and done, what's really going on here, and the reason why this is such a loser for the Democrats, is that what Trump is doing in terms of border security and mass deportation, that's just par for the course of what's happening all over the world. It's just par for the course of what's happening all over the world. This is, for whatever reason, this is what the Democrats just simply cannot understand. One of the most fascinating and noticeable political developments of late, again, all over the world, is the proliferation of border wall building that's happening in nation after nation after nation after nation, with nations from Poland to Turkey, Greece to Egypt, South Africa to Kuwait, you name it. More and more countries are building border walls that have but one aim, and that's not to keep people in. Right? This isn't a Berlin Wall. It has one aim. It's to keep people out, particularly illegal migrants out. Border security is central to a growing international politics that's actually known as post-security politics. If you're regular to this channel, you know that term well. But if you're new, make sure you write that down, because that's very important when you're discussing politics and culture with friends and family, colleagues, what have you. Post-security politics. The reason this is international, the building up of walls and border security and mass deportations and the like, is because it's a direct response to globalization. And globalization by its nature is international. Because the transnational dynamics inherent in globalization erode borders. Globalization hates borders. Borders interrupt the free flow of goods and workers, migrants, and so forth that globalization thrives off of. Because of the inherent transnational dynamics in globalization, because they erode borders, more and more populations are experiencing the radical and drastic demographic changes that occur as a result of open borders. And so it's no coincidence that more and more populations are demanding their borders be secured so as to protect and defend their unique cultures, customs, and traditions from being diluted by a barrage of foreign influences. And this demand for border security is as global as globalization itself. That's why it's worldwide. So all of this is to say that the Democrats, by doubling down on this Garcia guy, are doubling down on a thoroughly losing political issue. By doubling down on illegal aliens, the Democrats are only guaranteeing their own further alienation from the American voter. By the way, click on the link in the description below to get all these articles and tweets I reference throughout my videos emailed to you each and every day. You're going to love it. We want you to have the best resources out there to convince your family and your friends of this new MAGA super age that's rising here.